Rim of the World. Many words can be used to describe this movie. Fun, exciting, colorful, and, horrible. Now look, obviously there's no such thing as a perfect movie, but the number of flaws in this film are so astounding to me. Even when asking people who I'd seen the film with, they could point out multiple things that were wrong with the movie off the top of their head. Is Rim of the World a good movie?
I don't think it's a good movie. I think it's very bad acting in it, and it's a very weird concept.
That is what I'll be reviewing in my cast project. Hello everyone, my name is Simu, and for my cast project I decided to do a movie review of Rim of the World. My partner for this cast project is a friend that used to go to my previous school. We did this online and through a series of different recordings which I then edited down. Christian, wanna introduce yourself?
Thank you, Simu. My name is Christian Mungena, and you can think of me as a feature. I will be helping Mr. Chitondo over here with the analysis of the film, discussion of the characters, the plot, and that'll be my contribution to this review of Rim of the World.
So, Christian, what racial stereotypes do you notice in this movie?
Why don't we start with the main character, Alex?
Alex.
He is a white, supposedly nerdy, enjoys science. Now, I don't think you have to be a genius to know that you've seen that before.
Especially in animated movies, How to Train Your Dragon, Spies in Disguise.
I mean, even Spider-Man can fit into that category.
So I've been talking to Carl Jung, and basically he has four major archetypes and characters. He has the mask, or the persona, which is how you present yourself. You have the self, the shadow, and the animus/anima. Alex, in my opinion, is not that interesting of a character because he doesn't really have that many dark desires. He doesn't really have that many actual flaws as a character. All we know about him is he is smart and he is shy. That's pretty much all we know. Now let's go to Gabriel. Gabriel, to me, is the least racially stereotyped character of the four. It's revealed that he had a tough childhood, his dad wasn't there, and he beat someone up, which caused him to go to juvie.
I will admit this does still feed into the trope of Italians being criminals, as you can see in things like The Godfather. However, I do believe this is a major decline from him being like some kind of mob dealer or mob boss or involved with the mob in any way, as Italians are often presented in media. In terms of racial stereotyping, I don't think Gabriel's actually that bad.
He, for me, fits into a number of stereotypes regarding African-American kids. You know, he likes hip-hop, obsessed with sneakers, and the movie takes every opportunity to call out the fact that he's black. Christian, can you think of any other stereotypes regarding Darius?
Well, you've obviously got the fat funny guy. He's constantly the one saying funny or silly or just nonsensical things in a rather serious situation.
Big mistake, bro. Ooh, 5 years of Krav Maga. What the? Oh my God, it's Independence Day. It's June, Gabriel. Ask Werner Herzog. Grizzly Man lived with those things for years. So check that out.
Did you watch the end of that movie?
Did I watch the end? Yeah, I watched. No, I didn't. All right, survival of the fittest. This is a camp? Yeah, I mean, I was disappointed too, but how big was it? Was it like puppy size? Because maybe I just watched the title. You're welcome. I put the dog on fire for you guys. And Gabriel was selfish and he didn't help at all. At one point, you would trip Zen and keep running.
Honestly, Darius is treated as a joke of a character. All the racial stereotypes we've discussed up till now, when you're using them, you should use them correctly. And the whole idea with these stereotypes is to give you a basis of a character and then expand on it, grow the character a bit. And it was clear to me by the end of the movie that they didn't know what they wanted to do after they had established their character.
One aspect that's been explored by Carl Jung, the Occident and the Orient. Occident refers to the West and Western powers. The Orient refers to basically everybody else in the East. It's meant to otherize other people. So the concept of othering is that you're meant to show one culture as quote unquote normal and another culture as an exception.
China? Wow. Ni hao. Welcome to camp. I love Jackie Chan. Right?
She's not much of a talker.
Why are you hitting me?
What we do in life echoes.
Later in the movie, after the aliens invade, Darius says,
Oh, wait, maybe North Korea's invaded. Zintin, call it off.
and the fact that they keep on continuously drawing to the fact that that she's Chinese makes it also kind of confusing, despite the fact that it's just straight up offensive, is that when she explains her backstory, she wanted to fly from point A to point B being the camp. We're never told where point A is. So a lot of people are treating her like she's a foreigner or some kind of exchange student. Didn't really help with that, because I feel like it does become confusing to the viewer whether or not she flew in from China or whether or not she is from the United States and she's been there for a while. So next, we are going to be discussing the character arcs. So in terms of character arcs, Alex begins this movie scared of fire, and there are a lot of different shots to show these scared of fire.
Him being the one to lead the group to the secret classified base, and he was the one really to save the day.
One problem. Notice Alex isn't the leader. As much as the movie wants to make it seem so, that's not the case. Alex is introduced as the main character and everything, and then we're introduced to all these other characters and their dynamics. But then we get Jen, and she's shown to be the mature one leading the group. She's the one who decides to stop them and say, let's talk about where to stay. They decide to stay at Gabriel's house.
You brought up a good point. You see, it's never really clear what the group dynamic is. You see, we're supposed to think that it's a messy family, but at the same time beautiful. See, Alex, again, his whole thing is that his relationship with his mom, that's very nice. Really pulling on the heartstrings, However, throughout the entire movie, he never wonders what's going on with his mom throughout the apocalypse once. Also, Alex, again, as Simu said, it was a little rushed. Up to that point near the end of the movie, his fear of fire and heights was never really brought up. And then they just kind of said, whatever, we gotta focus on plots. And then it was brought up the end because they were like, oh, now we need Alex to be the hero. Let's get it.
In conclusion, this movie has failed in many aspects. I don't know if you can tell from the clips that you've seen, but this movie is not that great. In fact, it is terrible. And the only reason I really wanted to see this movie is because I thought it was so terrible that there was no way I could make an academic presentation on it. Which at first, I thought it was true. This video, which is probably around like 10 minutes at my final recording, was originally 1.5 hours, which I think is like even longer than the movie itself, critiquing so many aspects of it. But I had to settle down and say which aspects specifically were the most glaring ones in the movie's production. So I think, all in all, the movie's biggest problem is that it tried to be diverse by having characters from different races, but instead just ended up stereotyping every single one of them to the point where the character arcs became muddled, and I could not even tell who the group leader was.
Nice.
It's fine to have stereotypes of characters. For example, The Breakfast Club uses the stereotypes of the jock, the nerd, the criminal, everything. It's great. And then it expands on those characters like Christian said earlier in the video. However, in the case of Rim of the World, it introduces these racial stereotypes and they become a large part of every single character's arc. The Latina character who is violent and has a criminal record has to learn to stop being violent and having anger outbursts in order to get along well with his crew. The scared, nerdy white kid has to learn to be less scared. And the silent but deadly warrior, guess what? She doesn't have a character arc because that's all that she is. So overall, the movie prioritized racial stereotyping over character arcs and story. And even though the movie wouldn't be perfect in any sense of the word without these problems, it surely would have made an improvement if they weren't there. So, thank you for listening to my cast project, and that is my review of Rim of the World.